Hello everyone, Equipment War here, and welcome to my build guide for my Wield Duelist. This character is an incredibly powerful character, have a ton of clear speed, a ton of survivability, is really easy to make, easy to understand and easy to play. It's a really good choice for beginners. He can also do pretty much any map in the entire game, can take down pretty much any bosses in the game, and is overall a really powerful character. So I'm gonna go over my passive skill tree, the gear and gems I'm using, and what skills I'm using. If you have any questions about the build, feel free to ask me in the comments. So let's take a quick look at my passive skill tree, and if you have any questions about my passive skill tree, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm going to have a link in the description to the video where you can find the passive skill tree and look at it for yourself. So let's get started. When I'm leveling up this character, I recommend going this way. I'm gonna show here. Just take the attack speed and physical damage in the beginning, and then I went for the physical damage. If you want, you can go for the attack speed, but that's just optional. I went for physical damage. I took armor, evasion, life notes here, which are really good in the beginning and give you a ton of survivability when you start your character. Then I went down to take most of the arena, bravery for even more protection. I took art for the gladiator, which are a really good note and even give you some nice accuracy in the beginning, so your attacks will hit more easily. I took devilish, good protection, good damage and good attack speed. I went down here to take Golem's blood, even better protection. I went down to take cloak and chain, give you a good amount of both protection in sorts of armor and give you some resistance, which are really nice. Then I went down to take iron reflexes, which are one of two keystones in this passive skill tree. I took amber dexterity and I took blade barrier. Moving on, I went this way here, and then I went down here. Don't go down here right now. I'm going to tell about that later. Why you should gonna wait with that when I'm leveling up your character. I went for bloodless. I went for unraveling stance, bloodlust, or actually sorry, lust for carnage. I have a juggernaut for even more protection and armor. Then I went up to take barbarism, and then I took resolute technique. Resolute technique means that you can't crit anymore, but your enemy can't evade your attacks, so you don't need any accuracy in this build at all. You can do this build as a crit build, but if you're doing that, you're gonna take the melee critical strike chance notes here and take dismembering, but it will not be as powerful as going full on resolute technique. So I really recommending resolute technique. Moving on, I went to take the attack speed, 100 melee damage, strong aim, to get to born to fight, which all of these notes give you pretty good damage. I took the heart of the warrior. I took warrior's blood. I went for diamond skin because it is easier to max out your resistance. Also have armor mastery for really nice armor and movement speed and even some life rend. And I went for the life and armor notes here. Then I recommending actually going up here. Take all of these notes here to get to the big life wheel here. Just start by taking constitution. When you're leveling up more, you're gonna try to fill out all the life here. And take path of the warrior. I also have a sentinel for even more elemental resistance and armor. And I have berserking for some really nice attack speed and damage. And also have duality for a really good buff to your damage. Also using a Yule. It's nothing special, it's just a Yule, a rare Yule, which gives me a ton of physical damage, melee damage and some attack speed. There are better Yules than this one, but I find this one works really well and it was not that expensive. Moving on. If you have a fortify support gem, or if you have taken the fortitude, I'm gonna explain that in a second. You wanna go down here and take all this melee damage when fortify. And take rampant, which also increases the effect of fortify, and this one also increases the effect of fortify, which give 15% increase the effect of fortify. I also have hermitage, which give you a good amount of life leech when you're hitting enemies, which are a really good boost to your survivability. Speaking of fortified, for that, I'm gonna talk about my ascendancy class. I am a champion. The first thing you're going to do when you ascend is take Unstoppable Hero and start using the Fortified Gem. And when you ascend the second time, you're gonna take Fortitude. Fortitude means that you always have Fortify, which synergizes really well with Rampant. Because Rampant gives you damage, but it also gives you armor, and also increases the effect of Fortify. And even this one increases the effect of Fortify, which means that your Fortify will be incredibly powerful. And even this one increases your survivability and melee when you are Fortify. And this one as well increases your Fortify and bonuses when you are Fortify. And this one increases even more your Fortify, and this one as well, which makes Fortify a really good survivability boost to your character. When I ascend a fourth time and a third time, first one I'm gonna take is Inspiral, which are really good boost to your damage and movement speed, and also your allies and party members' movement speed and damage. And then I'm going to take First Strike and Lost the Fall, but I'm not ascend the fourth time yet. So let's take a look at the items I'm using. I'm gonna start with my weapons. I'm using this sword here. It gives me a good amount of physical damage and attack speed, and that is the most important thing you need on your weapon. Try to get as high physical damage and attack speed as possible. My offhand, it is a weapon called Soul Taker. You don't have to have this weapon, but this weapon is amazing. It has a really unique effect that makes that you don't need mana anymore. You can reserve 100% of your mana to your mana reserves like Hatred or Herald of Ash and stuff like that. You can still use all of your melee attacks. And this is because of this weapon, because of its unique effect. Insufficient mana doesn't prevent your melee attacks. So even if you don't have any mana, you can still use your melee attacks if you have this weapon. If you don't have this weapon, you just go for a rare weapon, an axe or a sword or whatever you want, which have as high physical damage and attack speed as possible. As for a helmet, I'm using the Bringer of Rain. Bringer of Rain actually grants your melee skill you have socked into it already 3 support camps, which basically makes it to a 7-linked item. It is supporting your melee skill with melee physical damage, faster attacks, and blind. Also give you a flat physical damage roll. Have a good amount of armor and evasion, give you a good amount of life, increases your chance to block, and you have a chance to gain an endurance charge when you block. But it have a drawback. When you're using this helmet, you can't use your chest armor. You can still have a chest armor on you to look badass, and you can still level up gems in that chest armor, but the chest armor stats will be completely ignored, so you will not get any armor from it, you will not get any effects or whatever you have on your chest armor. But as I said, you can still level up gems on your chest armor. If you don't want to use Bringer of Rain, you can use a rare helmet with life and resistant and as high armor as you can get. And then you can use either a rare chest piece, which are either a 5-linked or a 6-linked item, it depending on how much currency you have. And if you want a unique armor, you can use Belly of the Beast, which give you a ton of survivability in form of life, and even have some small amount of resistance, and you have some decent armor evasion on it. As for your gloves and boots, on your gloves, try to get as much armor as possible, and as much life and the resistance you might need to max out resistance. And if you can, try to get some attack speed and physical damage on your gloves. Your boots, try to get as much armor, as much life and the resistance you might need. And if you can, try to get some movement speed on them as well. For belt, I'm using Magdalagor's Girdle, which are a really powerful belt. Give you a flat physical damage, good amount of strength, which increases both your life and your damage. It also has some pretty nice increased maximum life and some small amount of resistance and some increased flask life recovery. For your rings, you're gonna aim for some rings which have as high life as possible and even the resistance you might need. And if you can, try to get a pair of rings which have a flat physical damage mod. And for your amulet, try to get the amulet which are, as always, as high life, resistance, and if you can, some flat physical damage. So let's take a look at my support gems and skill gems I'm using. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. So I'm going to start by showing off my main damage skill, which are Dual Strike, but you can pretty much use any melee skill in this build. I have another separate video when I'm explaining how that works. So, Dual Strike, it is supported by Multi-Strike, added fire damage, and melee splash. But thanks to using Bring of Rain, it is also supported by melee physical damage, faster attacks, and blind. The auras and the mana reserve I use are using Arctic Armor, Hail of Ash, and Hatred. For movement skill I using Whirling Blades and Leap Them, and they are both supported by a faster attack support gun. If you don't have Soul Taker, you need to support them with Blood Magic. I also have a cast when damage taken setup, which are cast when damage taken, linked with Molten Shell and Warlord's Mark. I also using Blood Rage, which are supported by increased duration and Blood Magic. And finally, the bandits I helped and killed. In normal, I helped the Orc to get the 40% increased life. In Cruel, you actually have a choice. You can either help Kratin or help Orc. If you're helping Kratin, you get more attack speed. If you're helping Orc, you get more physical damage. And in Merciless, I just killed all of the bandits and took the passive skill point. I thank you all for watching my video, and tell me in the comments what you think about the build, and if you have any problems, just let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.